Forgiveness is not the same thing as reconciliation. Two different things. In the United States of America where I live, we don't even really know what forgiveness is, if we're honest, right? Like we collapse those things in on each other all the time. Like to forgive is to say sorry and then go, "Oh no, we're fine. Our relationship's fine," or we like cut people off, like hard boundary, and then like sit with the hurt that they caused us forever and ever. Amen. That's not forgiveness. That's not what it is. And it doesn't even allow for like reconciliation, for the restoration or the renewal of a relationship to take place. It's just never going to happen, right? Like, I want to break this down a little bit because it is possible. It is absolutely possible to forgive somebody and never talk to them ever again. Totally possible. Because forgiveness is something you do in here for you. Like, forgiveness is something you do inside yourself. The restoration of a relationship, renewing a relationship, the fancy word is reconciliation. Reconciliation is something that happens between two people or between people, right? Between a person and another person, between a person and an institution or a system. Like that is reconciliation. And it takes two people who are actively involved, doing their own work, and who are accountable and trustworthy and honest about the process. So, like, if you've been hurt by somebody, and I'm using Desmond and Mpo Tutu's book here, the Book of Forgiving. It's a great book. If you haven't read it, you absolutely should. But, like, in their book, what they talk about is if you're the person who's been harmed, you have what's called the fourfold path. It's a journey to go on, and it's the journey of forgiveness. So, the first thing you got to do is tell your story to somebody who's a trustworthy witness to your pain, right? Not the person who harmed you, probably right away, but you tell your story. The second step of that is you name your feelings. What did it cost you? What happened? What are the feelings under the facts, right? Third step, grant forgiveness. You can do that by yourself, very quietly. You don't have to do that to anybody, for anybody. It's for you. You got to set yourself free. Forgiveness is to set yourself free, right? Like if you don't forgive, if you don't go through a process of forgiving, the person who hurt you lives rent free in your head forever and ever. End of story. The hurt just stays in there, it festers, it gets bigger. And then the fourth step is to either renew or release the relationship. It is absolutely okay. It's a choice you have. If you're the one that's hurt, if you've been harmed, if you've been wronged, you get to make a choice. Do you want to continue in a relationship or not? You can forgive that person and they don't have to know about it. You can forgive that person and you don't have to talk to them ever again. If, though, you want to restore a relationship, if you want to go through a reconciliation process, that requires them to do different work, okay? So if you have harmed somebody and they want to renew a relationship with you and make it right, there's a few things, unfortunately, you got to do. You don't just say sorry and call it good. And you don't go like, "Well, I said sorry." Like that's like what toddlers do. We learn, we grow, we get better. First thing you got to do is admit the wrong. Yeah, I did it, right? Second thing, you have to witness the anguish. You just have to listen. You don't get to argue or cross examine. You don't get to justify your actions. You just listen with your ears and your eyes and your being. You listen well to what your actions cost that other person. The next step is to apologize genuinely. Genuinely apologize. Like, as an apology, like the rule for an apology isn't saying sorry. The rule for an apology is you are restoring the dignity that you have violated, right, to that other person and acknowledging that the offense actually happened. The next step is ask for forgiveness. You got to ask, and you don't get to control the outcome. You ask for forgiveness, and you got to honor whatever answer you receive. And then finally, you have to make amends. Make amends or restitution wherever possible, right? This is a process that takes time. It takes time, but it's worth it, right? Like there are cultures around the world that have engaged in this process of forgiving and reconciliation. I think of the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, after apartheid ended, that Desmond Tutu led. Like, it's possible. It is absolutely possible, right? Not a perfect process, but a process that worked for a lot of people, right? So we got to get honest about this fact that we just don't know what forgiveness is. And we're often not really willing to do the work. We want to take shortcuts. We want to jump to restore the relationship without telling the truth about what happened, without hearing what happened, without telling anybody, without naming our feelings, without actually forgiving and setting ourselves free. Look, I'm a pastor. I'm all about like liberation. I think that Jesus is about liberation primarily. Like you can say salvation, salvation all you want, save, Jesus saves, but like that just comes from a Greek word that means liberation. Like Jesus is about liberation. It's as much about like here and now liberation as it is about anything else. So let's just get real about that. But in moments like this, right? Like politically, socially, racially, in terms of like gender and sexuality and all that, a lot of talk about how like, oh, it feels more divided than ever and like all that kind of stuff. If we want to heal, if we want to get better, we have to learn to forgive. And we got to start by acknowledging that we don't know what it is and we have no ritual practices as a culture around it. Unfortunately, fortunately, there's something we can do. We can learn. Unfortunately, it means we're going to need to face each other eyeball to eyeball. We're going to have to like be in relationship with other people. We're going to have to trust each other to like tell stories, receive stories, listen well, share honestly, be in relationship. And goddamn, is community awkward? It is. It's awkward. It is awkward and it's cringy and it's beautiful and it's worth it. So, this is our work to do, friends. Like, if we want to heal, if we want to get better, if we want to do better, we got to learn to forgive. Plain and simple. We got to learn to forgive. So, best of luck to you. Remember, you're loved.